But I'm going to answer this question by saying Shedeur Sanders. And I'm going to tell you why. I think he's being set up to fail. There's been 11 practices, if I remember correctly. He's been starting he's been playing against the third unit. He's fourth on the depth chart. And then suddenly you throw him into the start lineup and he hasn't had any reps with the first team at all. If he had first team snaps in practice, I don't say that. But he doesn't. And then all of a sudden he's starting tomorrow night. It's like you want him to fail.
Breaking news, everyone. Stephen A. Smith is speaking out, and he's not holding back on the Shedeur Sanders situation. With Sanders set to make his first preseason start tomorrow, Stephen A. says the whole thing smells like a setup for failure. Think about it. Up until now, Shedeur hasn't taken a single rep with the first team. No time to build chemistry, no chance to work with the starters, and now, suddenly, he's being thrown straight into the fire. Stephen A. calls it exactly what it looks like. Not just bad decision-making, but a deliberate move that doesn't sit right. Something here feels off, and Stephen A. is letting everyone know.
Nothing to do with this pick. I didn't have anything to do with it. I mean, that wasn't me. That was GM Barry. That wasn't me. The owner sitting up there. It wasn't me. Wasn't me. Yo! It wasn't me. That's what he was saying. And I'm saying, really? That's what we're doing now? That's what you're doing? You're trying to disassociate yourself from a quarterback that's on your roster at this particular moment in time. You give him no first team reps. He's been working out with the third team, and then you just gonna throw him in there.
Stephen A. didn't back down. He made it plain. This isn't a coaching decision or a GM call. In his eyes, Jimmy Haslam is the one pulling the strings. At a time when his own reputation is under fire, Haslam is making a desperate play, forcing Shedeur Sanders, a rookie with 0 first-team reps, into the spotlight. According to Stephen A., it's not about giving Shedeur a shot, it's about protecting Haslam's image, no matter the cost. Shedeur wasn't even a quarterback this team originally wanted. Yet now, he's being thrown into an NFL-level game with no chemistry, no preparation, and no chance to truly succeed. Stephen A. pressed the point. How does that make any sense? It's not just bad planning, it reeks of something deeper. A rookie quarterback, with no real work alongside the starters, suddenly expected to perform at the highest level? Stephen A. says it doesn't add up. To him, this is a deliberate move. Reckless, dangerous, and completely unfair. And with so much on the line, it's clear that Shedeur Sanders is walking into a storm that was built for him to fail.
And on top of it all, you haven't exposed him to any first-team reps. And then the first time he's going to see anything comparable to that is in his first ever preseason game. I'm just saying that looks very suspicious.
Stephen A. stressed that this isn't about questioning Shedeur Sanders' talent or toughness. It's about exposing the environment he's being dropped into. The timing, the lack of preparation, and the sudden pressure all point, in his eyes, to something orchestrated. He called it what it feels like, a setup with a built-in scapegoat. According to Stephen A., the blueprint is clear. Throw a rookie quarterback into a game he hasn't been prepared for, watch him struggle, then use that failure to justify keeping him on the sidelines. It's the perfect trap. If Shedeur succeeds, the higher-ups will claim it was all part of the plan. If he fails, they'll say they gave him a chance and that he couldn't deliver. Stephen A. says that's not just unfair, it's manipulative. And in this moment, with the stakes as high as they are, he's urging everyone to pay attention, because moves like this can define careers before they even start.
I am in no way saying that Shedeur Sanders should have any attitude different than what you articulated. He needs to think exactly how you said. I'm talking. I'm saying what I think, just like Damian Woody was saying what he...
Stephen A. made it clear. He's rooting for Shedeur Sanders to rise above it all. He believes the kid has the skills, the poise, and the grit to make a statement. But in his eyes, the problem isn't Shedeur's ability. It's the game being played around him. The timing, the lack of first-team reps, the sudden push into the spotlight. All of it, Stephen A. says, points to a plan that's less about winning football games and more about controlling the storyline. Even if Shedeur lights it up, Stephen A. warns, the victory might be hollow in the eyes of those calling the shots. Haslam's fingerprints on this situation could ensure that the conversation shifts away from Shedeur's performance and toward the so-called bigger picture. Shedeur Sanders has already addressed the growing tension surrounding Jimmy Haslam's role in this whole situation. But today, Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back. He absolutely tore into Cleveland Browns owner Jimmy Haslam for his comments about Shedeur. Calling him a coward, Stephen A. didn't mince words. He made it clear that Haslam's attempts to shift the blame onto Shedeur were nothing more than a weak, desperate move to cover up his own failures. According to Stephen A., Haslam is trying to dodge the fact that he didn't draft Shedeur in the first place, and now he's using this situation to deflect from his own mistakes.
Speaking to the city of Cleveland as if to say, don't blame me for this one. That is the man that gave Deshaun Watson guaranteed $230 million, which right now is going down as arguably the worst trade in NFL history.
Stephen A. drove the point home. This wasn't coincidence, and it certainly wasn't harmless talk. In his view, Jimmy Haslam's admission about not even considering Shedeur Sanders was a glimpse behind the curtain, proof that the resistance to bringing him in was deliberate from the start. Stephen A. said it plain. This wasn't about evaluating talent. It was about shutting the door before Sanders could even step through it. He argued that decisions like this come from a place far beyond the locker room or the draft board. They come from people at the very top, protecting their own influence. Haslam's words, Stephen A. noted, didn't just slip out. They reinforced a pattern of keeping Shedeur at arm's length, ensuring his opportunities were limited from day one.
And what's going on here? That's why Haslam was in his car on a Friday talking about, I can't see it happening, because they weren't going to let it happen.
Riddick didn't mince words. He said the situation puts Shedeur Sanders in a position where he has to be nearly flawless just to prove he belongs. In Riddick's view, talent alone won't be enough when you've had almost no time to work with your receivers, no real rhythm with the offensive line, and no chance to adjust to the speed of the game alongside the starters. That kind of disadvantage, he pointed out, forces a young quarterback to play catch-up in real time, under the bright lights, with everyone watching. Riddick stressed that preseason games are about growth and evaluation, but in Shedeur's case, the margin for error is razor thin. One bad throw, one mistimed route, and the narrative could instantly turn against him. That's not development, that's survival.
That doesn't mean he's not going to play in the preseason. He is, but he's not getting the reps in practice. So what really is happening is he's going to have to be like spectacular in the preseason games, okay? Because he's not getting the reps right now to practice the things he's going to do in the preseason game.
Riddick doubled down, saying that without someone in the building actively invested in Shedeur Sanders' success, the odds of him getting a fair shake were slim from the start. In the NFL, he explained, late-round picks and overlooked signings don't just find their way to meaningful snaps. They get there because someone with influence believes in them and pushes for them. In Shedeur's case, that advocate seems non-existent. The fact that no one can clearly identify who even initiated the move to sign him, Riddick argued, speaks volumes. It paints the picture of a player brought in without a real plan for his development, almost as if he was added to the roster without a roadmap for how to use him. Riddick emphasized that this is the cold, unspoken truth of the league. Performance doesn't always outweigh politics. He's watched players with undeniable talent get sidelined simply because they weren't one of the coach's guys, while others with far less ability thrived because they had the right allies in the building. In Shedeur Sanders' case, that reality looms large. Even if Shedeur delivers on the field, Riddick warned, the final verdict on his future may not come down to stats or highlight reels. It could hinge on whether the right people decide they want him to stick around. That's what makes this situation so precarious. He's not just competing against opposing defenses. He's competing against perception, relationships, and an internal hierarchy that wasn't built with him in mind.
If you don't have someone who's strongly advocating for you, don't tell me that the NFL is just a meritocracy and the best players play. BS, it's not the case. Okay, I've seen players, I've been in personnel meetings where people are getting killed who coaches just don't want. And they may be better than the people who are playing ahead of them. I've seen it happen.
When you piece together everything Stephen A. Smith and Riddick have laid out, a clear and troubling picture emerges. Shedeur Sanders isn't just stepping into his first preseason start. He's stepping into a situation shaped by power plays, politics, and a system that doesn't always reward merit. From Stephen A.'s accusations that Jimmy Haslam never wanted Shedeur on this roster, to Riddick's blunt assessment of the NFL's inner circle culture, it's evident that Sanders is facing far more than just the opposing team on game day. He's had no first-team reps. What do you think, folks? Is Shedeur Sanders truly being given a fair shot here? Or is this exactly the kind of setup Stephen A. and Riddick are warning about? Do you believe talent can overcome the politics and power games that happen behind closed doors in the NFL? Or are those forces simply too strong for a rookie to break through? And if Shedeur delivers a big performance, will it be enough to change the minds of those who may never have wanted him in the first place? Or will the narrative stay the same no matter what he does?